upgraded NDI5, I'd have to prepare vmix for it as well. Went through that step. Keep that. All right. Now the screen will show again. Sorry about that. Breakout room. Never have? That sounds like an exercise I would like to do if you guys are on board with that today.
Didn't even know it was possible.
Yeah, I remembered I saw something the other day talking about it, and I like, oh yeah, I forgot about that, and so I went and verified, in fact, that when you share and you have breakout rooms open, there's a box on the bottom of the share, much like the optimize area, that you can share to all breakout rooms.
Cool.
And so,
Can you
let's
do that with a pro account? Or do you need a higher
I
level?
would say no, I don't think it's I don't know that I've ever seen a feature that is not on pro that Lois, I'm going to make you a co-host. Why don't, if you would, if you'd create a couple of breakout rooms.
Let participants choose the rooms.
Yeah, create as much freedom. Do it. Don't do it manually for the assignment. So you can just pick and choose. Let them come back whenever. Don't do an auto closure.
3 will be enough?
Oh yeah, 3 will be fine.
Okay.
Your bandwidth is struggling, Lois, by the indication of your icon.
Yeah, well, I could switch to using my phone's hotspot.
Let me see.
And I'm assuming, Jeff, you do not want to be in any of these?
Yeah, it won't. Yeah, don't assign me and don't move me. I'll stay here in the main and share like a green room slide deck.
Do you want streamer in something?
No, don't move streamer and don't move Jeff OSC.
Then who are you?
I'm Jeff Widgren, host.
You're Jeff OSC.
No, Jeff OSC is a co-host. That one you can leave in the main room as well.
You don't show up as possible to put in any room.
The host shouldn't it shouldn't give you me as the host an option.
I just open all the rooms?
Yeah, go ahead and open them up.
Bye-bye, guys.
Okay, yeah, it looks like there's some assignments.
Okay, so I can move myself, can I?
You should be able to join, yeah.
I think I'll join that one. Yes.
Okay. Put the stream on gallery view for now. So we've got we've got 4 in room 1, 3 in room 2, 4 in room 3, and a couple of my systems here. So I've got Jeff OSC, myself, James Redman is here. All right, so we're good to go. So now I'm going to start a share, and let me begin by sharing my Zoom screen so you can see what I'm doing. Let me not go full screen. And I can show you gallery. There's just a few of us here. And then if I click on share, and I've got a PowerPoint over here next to me. View, and it is launched now. Okay, so that's screen 3. I'm going to share that, but before I do, this, on the bottom here, there's a share to breakout rooms, and I'm going to check mark that and click share. It says share screen to all breakout rooms. Your screen will be shared in the main session and in all breakout rooms. Your video and audio will not be shared with breakout rooms. Screens that others are sharing in the rooms will be stopped. And I say share. And so I'm sharing here locally in the main session. I'm paging through a PowerPoint. I don't know until they come back. And so we should be good. I can get a little crafty and write them a note because I'm sharing the screen. And I'll just say, come on back and share your experience. And they just saw that, I would assume, as well, because I'm sharing the screen out there. All right. So let's see if they start popping back. If they saw that, that might be living proof that we're sharing. They saw it. Got Leo coming back, so I'm guessing he may have seen
Audio.
it.
Could you share audio? Jeff.
No, you're saying.
Oh, okay.
So if I share screen 3 again to the breakouts, I'll read to you guys what I read to those on the stream. It says your screen will be shared in the main session and in all the breakout rooms. Your video and audio will not be shared with breakout rooms, and screens that others are sharing in the rooms will be stopped. So
Okay.
it will
All right.
trump what's shared.
I have a cunning plan of how to get around it a bit. If you can let me do something. If you let me screen
You want to be
share.
the host, or do you just want to share?
Do you mind? Or just,
I don't
well,
mind.
give me, you have to make me co-hosty, and then I've got a cunning plan.
And by the matrix, whereas a simple screen share, just whatever it is on the screen, that doesn't seem hard.
So here, let's hone down on something real quick. So I'm selecting screen 1, screen 2, screen 3, but then I'm going to select my PowerPoint application, right? Not a screen. And I because it says share screen, and I was half expecting the option to share rooms to go away if it was anything but a screen versus an application, such as PowerPoint, right? And Now the instruction changed a little bit.
When you see on the screen share, it'll say so and so is sharing their screen, and I believe it says that whether you're whichever type of sharing you have. I think screen sharing is a more generic sense, but correct me if
Yeah.
I'm wrong.
I think so.
No. Well, but here's the reason I questioned it is because, whoops, let me not go to the breakouts again. So I share my Zoom desktop and I pop up the share option. It clearly says screen 1, screen 2, screen 3 for your monitors, and then the names of the applications or files for all the other stuff, right? And so
That's because
was-
it doesn't know the name of your computer. It's not, you're just screen one. You're the first screen
well,
that you have.
yeah. And then it's just a generic usage screen share, whether it's an application or not. So my wonder is if there was embedded video in that PowerPoint, would you hear that share in a breakout? It's not
That's what I
my
want to
mic.
try.
Is that
That's
what you
I'm
want to
gonna
try?
I'm gonna
Let's
try.
do it.
Yeah, but
I was gonna try something as well. So
I bet not.
yeah, because I bet not too, because I'm guessing it doesn't care that it's an application. It's just a screen scrape. But although theoretically the video should share at that point, if it's a true screen
The
scrape.
video should be seen for sure.
But maybe
and
maybe
so
it doesn't meet the specifications of a true video because well, I don't know, we'll see.
And breakout rooms are
this is if I choose under advanced to share a video, they gray out the share to breakout rooms. So there's a hint of possibly what's to come.
Right.
Right.
What about the
and you
audio?
can't share.
Can share computer audio? That's
No.
grayed out too.
Yeah. Okay.
And you can't share different things to different breakout rooms. It has to be one to all.
It is. It's one to all. That's absolutely correct.
Well,
I
now,
think
wait
that
a
might
minute.
change.
Shouldn't a co-host be able to share to different place than the host? Because we're coming from different sources.
Well, you can only share the only place to all breakouts is available is from the main session.
Mhm.
And when you share to breakouts, you're sharing to all breakouts, no matter whether you're the host or.
Jeff, if you're
and
using,
keep that in your mind as a next one of our next tests to see if a co-host can trump a host's share that's in breakouts.
can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah.
If you're using loopback or some other a mixer your system audio into Zoom as opposed to through using can't you share audio in all your breakout rooms that way?
I just didn't think it had a transport to carry sound. I might be wrong.
Oh, okay.
let's try.
Yeah,
Can I try?
It's still a mic,
So-
whatever the way you're bringing it in.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so
I've got a couple of things I'm going to try. This may I've got
we
an
need to
idea of doing
get
something.
some people. Go ahead and some of you go ahead and
Everybody-
move back.
Go into the breakout
Go to
rooms.
Breakout rooms.
You
Everybody.
don't
just
all
share your
have to
room.
go, but at least
Your share. So I've
Yep.
got a share to breakout rooms. So I need to do. Hold on. I'll find the right window. Sorry, give me a second. That's it. That's that one there. Share to breakout rooms. So if I now do that, this is share to breakout rooms. Your video. Okay, so they should now be seeing me. So they should now, can they see me? They should be seeing me. Can they hear me? Can you hear me? So I'm saying if they can hear
With
me.
the on-screen captioning.
And I'm now going to say, come back to the So did you see
We saw
me?
you, we did not hear you.
Okay.
Did anyone in any of the other rooms see a chat?
But you,
A chat from room 1 goes to everybody. Dan, you're muted.
but you saw me, but you couldn't hear me.
Right.
Okay, so
That's
how I
correct.
did that, so Ecamm has they built a feature into Ecamm before Zoom did some sharing, which is a sharing window, which effectively is that you push Ecamm out to a separate window, and that window is an app that you can share. So it effectively creates like an almost like on your desktop another.
A little chop, but it wasn't bad. And the other thing I'd say is that that's a screen scrape, right? I mean, is that what we're talking
It
about
is
here?
a screen scraping, yeah, but you're using it because Ecamm has that feature. It's called, they called it the sharing window, and it was like they threw it in as before before Zoom could pick up virtual cameras, and it's sort of like a legacy they may one day pull out, but it's called sharing window, and that's how I did it.
You know, Leo, if the projector view in OBS works the same way?
I assume it would actually is exactly the same thing, because you're pushing out to another screen, and vMix you can do exactly the same. You know how you can push out on vMix to a separate window. So I was actually sharing, you know how you push it out to that, it's that window.
The thing I think you will never get around until Zoom, they may as well be pieces of paper, okay? And so I will share this piece of paper with you. It doesn't involve a codec, a video audio codec. It's literally just that. So for us to share the audio, Zoom would have to create a codec that was part of a matrix that they could say, that audio will go to that room and that room and that room.
Jeff, isn't it always the audio guys that are just bring us all down to earth?
We
It's always
are
the audio
contrarians.
guys.
Leo,
and audio's been around so stinking long. Why haven't they got it figured out yet?
Because there's that added level of intelligence.
There's
all I will say is when anybody ever gives us grief, I just say, what is your presentation without video? It's radio.
A fairly intense vMix preset for a show that's coming up on Tuesday, and I've got the vMix build made. I've got my Stream Deck pretty darn close to done, and the last part, which is the most challenging part, is my talkback channels, my group talkback channels on my Stream Deck, so they're button pushes away, but changing and managing all the audio buses to be able to have opportunities to talk and not have them be on air, and vice versa, and it's definitely, it just makes you bust out the whiteboard and the markers, and just draw it out. And you can draw it out for just one. If I have, in this case, I have 7 callers, vMix callers coming in, draw it out for one, just one. It's logic, you just got to map it out. And I'm no expert, but I do know it's a challenge. Josh.
Well, speaking of something to map out, since we do have some audio expertise in here, yesterday there was someone that came in after hours asking for a one-to-many IP solution for audio. And given that Zoom currently does not offer an in-house solution to send audio into breakout rooms, is there a solution that anyone has used or could theorize using to split an audio channel and then send a Zoom client into the breakout rooms to deliver that content into the room?
I think the answer to that would be Tucker Dragoo. Unity input, and he had Unity up in the cloud, and then he had 10 clients connected, and he could distribute that my feed into all 10. Because you can order from him right now. You'd say, hey, I want to be able to sit at my desk, and I want to be able to tap into and monitor any of those 50 breakout rooms, and he can do it. So, but you have to, kind of pull it out to push it in, to split it and so forth. But it's doable. I don't know that I'd try to count on, sync doing a share to all breakout rooms and then pipe in the audio via, the creative Tucker method there with Unity. I'm not sure that that would be a very pleasant experience.
Than yours, depending on that. So
Yeah.
there's that. The other thing I'll just say, and we experienced this on Mad in the Kitchen when we did the first couple of shows. Marissa, who is like a co-host for that, she was using Unity for the first, at least the first show, maybe the first two. And for her, it was cumbersome. And she would talk into Unity when her mic was open. So I'd have to mute her mic and all of that. So really the bottom line is that it's doable, but for the person using it, they're so used to just Zoom, and giving them this other device on their phone when they're a participant, I think it's an extra piece of equipment. It's something else to worry about and all of that. Now, if you're a technician or you're helping operate this event,
a laptop for each of the breakout rooms, had them, and then you at your master control station was feeding those laptops. So those were laptops that were participants in each one.
If they were laptops in my office, that certainly could improve a lot of things, right? So if I'm doing a share to all breakout rooms from this computer, and there's an audio split going into each of the others, and their mic is on in that breakout, it would be a pretty low latent, deliverable, but still they're two completely different paths of video and audio, and there's going to be no way to
separate them. If you don't have the audio and you are just having another person, as you say, another screen in the room, they can share your audio and video together. There's no latency problem.
True.
What Josh mentioned about NDI, we do that when we're interpreting. We will use NDI and go in from different machines into, actually we don't use breakout rooms, we use different webinars, and we push the interpretation with the video into different webinars, where each webinar is a dedicated language. Or we do the same thing into Microsoft Teams, where we push a specific video with the specific language channel for that meeting. and we
departure from where we were, which is to do a share to all breakout rooms. The NDI is if I had 10 computers behind me in my office studio here, I would be feeding it video and audio to each laptop, which are each individually been moved into those breakout rooms also. Yeah,
That's what I mean.
that would be a clean locked version of video and audio. Yeah, that would end up in the breakout room. Yep, for sure.
So if you have a message with both video and audio that you want to get to all of those breakout rooms, a sort of solution is pre-record that and then have someone in each breakout room share their and play it.
That would be the way to pull off. I'm not sure that I necessarily can really identify a good use case to share to all breakout rooms without audio. You know, it would make more sense to me to have like a kickoff video, right? Like a bumper video or a closer video or something like that that everybody knows. They get the welcome message even when they're in the breakout room without having to move back to the main session. And then they all know, when that share pops up in the video, says, thank you for attending the session, blah, 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 they know it's all time to go. So I don't know. I mean, I can't, on the flip side, I go, why would I have people in the breakout rooms if I want them to all see my presentation? It could be that, the company has a massive announcement and it's the look of the brand new automobile that they've, designed and the big exposure really only requires a picture. And then they do
Maybe
have
a fire drill. Maybe a
lead.
fire drill for the building.
Yeah. For the building. Now all the breakout rooms are in the same building.
There's a logical use for that. Let's say you're having a conference and you're talking about a particular subject and you want each of these groups to talk about or discuss something. So you put the question up and you put it up in there and you say you've got 3 minutes or 5 minutes or whatever, it goes away. At time for the next question, the next thing goes up. So you are able to control timing. You had something like that.
Yeah, no, no, just because I say I can't think of any doesn't mean it can't be done, couldn't be done or hasn't been done. I think having the ability, I'd rather have 100 times the number of features I can think of using available when I finally need them than not have them when I need them. Andy.
Yeah, and I'm thinking also from a marketing perspective, Zoom is a company where they created a product for everyone, just regular old Zoom and Zoom Pro. And then they have this other tier, which is Zoom Rooms for the enterprise and companies and all of that. And what we're talking about is sort of combining the functionality of these two things. And I think that Zoom could theoretically shoot themselves in the foot if they were able to and gave all of that functionality do here with separate Zoom rooms, not breakout rooms, but Zoom rooms. That's already being done, where you were like, I want all these people in that Zoom room. I want all these people in that Zoom room. I want these separate meetings. We'll share content. We'll bring everybody back together again for the same meeting and all of that and have a big conference. So I kind of think that I have to wonder, because who knows what's really going on at Zoom, but I have to think that they are going, no, we have these two platforms. We have the professional and we have the consumer. And if we give the consumer that, we can't charge as much for it, and we're going to get a lot more tech support calls that we can't handle.
Yeah. Yeah, there's I find it hard to imagine all the things they have to think about.
Actual separate rooms, say 5 separate Zoom meeting rooms going on, that they can bring all of those people back into a regular meeting into one room?
Yeah, and someone, probably other people here are more familiar with this. So for example, on, well, Man in the Kitchen's a good example, because the way that show was produced is we had 6 Zoom rooms, and each chef was in their own Zoom room. And we had mixed minuses going back and forth and return video and everything. So each of these people could see and hear one another without any problems. And then we had another audience watching that on a Zoom. That was, I believe, was a webinar. So by having, if you think of it this way, a Zoom room is literally just pipe. It's like plumbing. It's like I have to get the water from here to there and back again. That's all it is. It's just a direct path to that. It's like, it's like the water going from, it's just this one piece of hose, if you will. And the nice thing about that is that when you have this one piece of, it's just me to you and you to me, if we have someone else involved, we can bring their hose into that and route it to us so we can see and hear them. Versus Zoom, like what we're doing here right now, where we're all in the same meeting. We don't have that function. We can't control that. The only way we can control that is to send people to a break.
I've never really used Zoom rooms,
Yeah.
before, but I didn't know that they could then come back and, bring all the rooms together in a meet. I didn't know that was possible.
Yeah, and I had to learn about Zoom rooms too. The real big difference between a Zoom room 2 and a regular Zoom 2 is that they get to have 3 sources, not just 2. Like with you've got your camera, and you can have another computer and share your desktop. In a Zoom room, I believe, and someone correct me if I'm wrong, they can have a 3rd source.
That's right.
I think you're saying source.
It's meant
It's
for
actually outputs.
Sorry,
Right.
outputs.
Think
Thank
of
you.
3
Yeah.
displays in a conference room. 3 displays in a conference room.
Yeah.
And you have, near, far, and your share on maybe that's one way, or maybe you want 2 join, or be joined to any Zoom. And so they're using it kind of a tricky way. They're just putting a PC, calling it a Zoom room, and then they're doing their outputs, and they're putting their
And
whatever source they want.
And literally the Zoom room product it was built for that. It was built as you go into an office and you go into a conference room, and it would be hooked up as a Zoom room, just like other conferencing systems like WebEx or something like
Blue
that.
Jeans. Yeah.
Yeah, right. All these other products. And then people started leveraging it like, okay, you don't need to physically be in that room. We'll just use that pipe.
Yeah, it was more of a we need to communicate with people globally. That's been Cisco's approach. Couldn't get to you, it just wasn't practical, right? But then it became, the last couple of years, right, required.
Yeah, I was doing events at Cisco when they released telepresence, and they took us into the room where they had it all set up. And
Yeah, kind of a half moon physical, and it looked like the other part was identical, but it was all virtual. I'm just like,
yeah.
wow, this is amazing.
And here's the thing: is we were told that, so if you were doing a deal, some high level big money deal with someone on the other side of the world, and you want to look them straight in the eye, just the middle seats in each row could do that. If you were just to the side, you got close. It's kind of like Zoom. Like I'm looking directly at the camera, but if I'm looking over here, like it would look like that. Right in the eye.
Interesting. Very good. Jesse, what you got?
Zoom, you can now, there's a little workaround where you can join the same meeting multiple times, and I've been fooling around with that a little bit. So I'm wondering if there's a way to automate something so that you have a single machine that's joined the same meeting multiple times that can hop into different breakout rooms and join and share a singular piece of content. I'm testing that right now on the side, and I don't know if that's the case. I think that participant joins the same room, but if there was, it feels like it's almost there where, you could potentially set up something to join different breakout.
Talking about before, right? Moving those 10 laptops virtually all into my one computer and joining the meeting multiple times. Yeah. What you got, Josh?
I was just replying to Jesse. Yeah, that does work for concurrent meetings. The hitch with that is you have to have an enterprise license in order to have Zoom flip the switch for you to do the concurrent meetings. There are other ways. I've used sandboxes on a single device in order to generate multiple meetings. That does work.
What are sandboxes?
So sandboxing is mostly designed for isolating something on a system. It has its own sandbox resources and processing. There's one how many you can. I've run 5 on one PC, and I didn't run out of cards. The only gotchas on some of them is I haven't tried it on vMix, but on OBS there's a flickering that I've had that's haven't got the bottom of as far as.
Does it include sandboxing the OS, or does it use the same base OS and it only sandboxes the apps?
Well, that's the beauty of the sandbox. So if I was using a virtual machine, then I would need a whole nother copy of Windows. And I did try that. I tried a couple different virtual machine solutions, and I found that on top of the resources to run another version of Windows, I had latency issues and quality issues. Computers signing different things and then just sending their capture in. That I had latency and quality issues. But when I did the sandbox issue, it actually just captures that process. So you're actually just manipulating the process. And I think what happens is before you run out of resources to run the app, you'll run out of throughput first. But none of those were deal breakers. The only thing that the only sticking point is I haven't tried it with vMix, but I'd be interested to know whether vMix does a better job of not flickering. Of course, I have a test system I have of 4 monitors, and I tried different frame rates and capture cards and stuff too. I tried putting something on the OBS the OBS Discord.
Right. If you have a, poorly written application that uses system resources kind of out of bounds or whatnot, they may have some issue in a sandbox versus a virtualization platform, VMware or Parallels or something like that.
It's a weird issue. It's like it
Yeah.
happens sometimes it doesn't. It's not consistent. It's like intermittent. So like something's causing it, but
Yeah.
I haven't been able to pick it out. Like I said, that's why I was curious to see if vMix or another program might not have the issue of. I'm pointing at OBS, but maybe it
Yeah.
could be.
Oh, very good. Lois.
Well, you lost me quite a while back, but I'm wondering, Jess, was your question about
It wasn't really a question. It was more like, a concept that could potentially go further. But basically, yeah, one Zoom account can now log into the same session multiple times. But I think that's problematic when trying to join the same or multiple breakout rooms, basically, because you are one user in the same Zoom session, and you can't really join different breakout rooms. But if you had two Zoom meetings going on, you could, in that sort of more native-ish way to Zoom, join those multiple Zoom meetings at the same time. Now, if you have an enterprise account and you've contacted them and said, I want to be able to join multiple meetings at the same in a sandbox, which is a isolated way of running different sessions and sharing that singular content to different meetings at the same time.
all of which requires an enterprise account, correct?
I don't think so. I don't think the way Josh is doing it would require an enterprise account.
I mean the Zoom thing, because I've been on here, I've gone and set up another computer, logged on, accidentally used the same account, and I didn't get kicked off, but I got signed out from this machine. So I was still in the meeting, but I wasn't signed in anymore in a Zoom app.
Yeah, I guess if you want to stay, well, it's not really about signing in, because I think if you sign in on a different machine, it will still boot you out on that same meeting or two different meetings. If it's the same meeting, the cool thing is you can join it as many times as you want to. So I use that sometimes with a more powerful PC to pin people on other monitors, so I can have a couple of instances of the same Zoom meeting going with those pins, and then I can bring those pins into software switching.
Jeff, did you use, or Jesse, sorry, did you use the burner room technique to log into the same meeting?
Yep. Yeah, the Rupert method. I guess if we're talking about methods or burner, yeah. Not in the Burning
Has
Man.
a name.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so and that's one thing I didn't test, Jesse. I have tested being in and out of breaker rooms, but I did not test multiple break. You and I unsuccessfully asked them to turn it off from my pro account, and well, it didn't happen. But you are in the same meeting with the same account, so it's the same. If you look in your task manager, you actually have all the dependent processes duplicated, so it'll actually run the Zoom client however many times you rejoin. There's a little tap dance you got to do to join the same meeting. It's easy to join a different meeting, you know, having that's it wasn't designed to let you do that, and so I wasn't satisfied with just staying in that technique, because given that I'm sort of hacking things in getting it to help me to let me join the same meeting again, I figured they could rewrite clients are the same user. Whereas the sandbox method that I described, you are actually logging in with a different user. So, you know, they are the negative side of that is if you're going into a registered meeting, then you can't just come in with the username, the user ID and password. You have to come in with that account that you've registered to it. So the sandboxing, you'd have to sign in and have it registered, which does. Um, but yeah, I haven't tested the breakout rooms with it. So if you're saying, Jesse, that it doesn't work with the concurrent meetings, then that is something I haven't tested.
Lois.
In room 1. So when you looked in the chat, it said everyone, and then it had listed the 3 names for the people within that room. When I posted a message, did anybody else see it? Any other room see a message from Lois? No? Okay. But it followed me back into the main room. I can see the messages I wrote and received in the chat room.
Yeah, it's a local cache. So when you join a meeting, you don't catch any of the previous history of chat, right? And kind of the same thing holds true. Then while you're in the meeting, whatever session, your chat window kind of catches it all, that everything that you've seen and written and so forth. And so as you move around, but yeah, as far as distribution is, you know, if I send every to, you know,
That
get
goes
that
to
pop up.
all the breakout rooms.
Yeah.
And can only hosts and co-hosts do that, or can regular participants broadcast a message?
Hosts and co-hosts. Yeah.
Yeah, Zoom actually has a client where you can talk to people in and out of meetings, but you have to be in the same Zoom account, and then there's a separate chat that you can send messages back and forth.
Yeah. The out of meeting chat. Yeah. Yeah. Not a lot of usage about that, but it's, you know, if I share, I feel like one of these days I may end up, you know, deciding to spend some time with it and in the Zoom test kitchen. But, you know, we're used to seeing this and often, you know, the out of meeting chat. This has nothing to do with our meeting. This is more
Jeff, we can see your vMix screen.
Oh, then share the wrong screen. Sorry. Share the right one. I need to fix that. All right. There we go. So you know, you got the home, the meetings, and but then we have this chat, which is yeah, Ed and I demoed it back in February, and that's the last time I've looked at it. You know, it just don't. But then you know, you'll see there's Zoom writes about it a lot. Like if you've ever read an article that said, and Zoom says you can edit, delete chat messages, I can promise you, don't get your hopes up, because it has nothing to
Another exception that we found in Zoom events.
Uh-huh.
So the same feature is enabled for Zoom events. We've discovered
What same
for the
feature?
lobby, not for the in meetings, but for the lobby, you can reply to and respond to people as well as react, and you can delete. The hosts and co-hosts can delete messages from the chat, and you can delete your own messages.
Very good. Lollick.
First of all, sorry for coming in as Tony Mobley.
I was gonna say but you got your name changed before I got a chance to pick on you.
The other thing I wanted to say is that I was watching a little bit on Facebook, and it seems that the audio is cutting in and out.
Yeah, you're only here to tell us if our lighting's good. So
Yeah, I don't actually like.
Light, I suppose.
That's a pretty dim statement.
Yeah, she is.
Can we get those buttons to be?
Yeah, the chat outside of Zoom, we use it like the Teams chat. So
exactly, Slack, Teams. Yeah, it's organizational, and
it just feels like they added something in for some person said we have to have this feature.
I think it's like we're competing against WebEx. WebEx was obviously a we can add, and I think you can add out of organization people, but it just, not yet another chat engine, I mean, it's so hard sometimes. I know I talked about it with somebody, but I don't know which platform we did it on. See, you're searching Messenger and Discord and Slack and email. It's like, oh, what a pain in the rear. So anyways, back in the day, there was a product used that combined. I could write this one chat program that supported, I mean, this is way back when, AOL and all the others. You could put on all your logins for those 3 or 4 different platforms, and they'd all be supported within the same interface. And that was a fantastic solution. But yeah, these chat platforms.
From the waiting room?
No.
In other words, the guys in the waiting room, if you send a message, they can reply to your message now. But it's announcement that the next version of the client is going to have that. So it's not available yet, but they announced it today.
Getting the word out, yeah. All the strategically timed announcements. They may have an earnings call coming up or something, who knows.
So what's the latest on the video in the waiting room? Did they open that back up?
Not as of last week. So we'll just keep checking. I'll keep putting in my requests and see if they finally authorize it one day. But not yet. Which we've worked with a little bit, and it seemed like there was another one that they said came out, but I could not, for the life of me, get it to show up. Got immersive, which I don't give 2 hoots about. We've tried that. That wasn't too exciting. Go ahead, Lois.
So I'm still thinking about the in-meeting chat, and I know that we can share files, we can put in links, we can do all that sort of stuff. Not all of it, though, gets saved when you say save chat. And after the meeting is all over and you go look at it, it doesn't have as much usefulness as when you're in the meeting. If I'm in the meeting, I can click on a link and it'll open my browser.
It's not, I don't suspect it's ever going to save files because it's binary information that would, because it's saved in a text-based file, right? And so there's really no such thing as links, if you will, if you really think about it. There's no such thing as a link. There's a format that if that format's put into a particular program that knows how to turn it into a link, it's a link. You know what I'm saying? So it's http:// something, right? So, and it does save those, but it saves it as a URL because like a text editor doesn't know how to create a link. They're just raw text files. But the host will have the most complete log. The cloud is probably, and the reason I say that is my chat log during a show, for instance, is not an ideal chat log to share with anybody because I end up with too many private messages. And so if I save and share, I'm going to be saving not only the public chat, but my private messages. If I save or download the saved cloud version of the chat, it won't have my private messages in there. So that one's a safer one to distribute.
How do you save to the cloud versus just save chat? I just see save chat. I didn't see any
You don't, yeah, it's not it's in the port, where you set up your recording options in the cloud. Let's see here.
The chat is saved when you record to the cloud, but not if you just say save chat. Save chat. And I have also recorded. I end up with two things that are both chats. They're slightly different though.
So if on the portal you set your recording options, you've got I just want to make sure it doesn't, give us any warnings or whatnot, but like with save chat message from the meeting and webinar, there's no additional. So if I uncheck any of these up above, does save chat go away? Save chat's a standalone option. So the ability to not have to actually save recordings, but just save the chat logs it looks absolutely possible.
I really want to save this stuff, and I click save chat. I'll get two, won't I? Two different ones?
I don't think so. In the same session, I think it updates it, but let me go test that. I will, I'll do a save chat, and then why don't you guys pop some messages into the chat window, and I will hit save again after we get a few in there. Okay, so you see my share.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I can easily blow that up. So it is again, save. Now it is one document at 3. It was, what time was it before? 3:21 or I don't remember. I showed it and then I forgot to remember. There's 3:21 p.m.
But when I'm looking at the chat and I click that little button that says save chat, it doesn't save it at the time I click the button. It saves it when I leave the meeting. In other words, I don't have to keep clicking that every time somebody posts something. It will give me everything in the whole chat while I'm in the meeting afterwards.
That's true. Also, yeah, but the whole reason save chat is available on the bottom right of the chat window is one, on it after I'm looking in the settings to see is or where the chat, is there a chat option in the client settings? Chat here. Show, change. Start only, receive. Yeah. I'm not seeing the option in the client to do it. It just always does. It always pops up the file manager and shows you where it saved it. But I thought I had it in before to
Cloud. I don't have a chat recorded where I didn't record the session. So I think what's happened, and I may be wrong on this, but if you don't record, then the meeting chat is saved locally. If you do record, it goes into with all the other cloud recordings. That's what seems to be the logic from looking at all of my recordings on the screen now. My cloud recordings. And I know that when I don't record, I usually get a message that my chat has been saved and it shows me the folder. Even if I don't save it during the meeting, because I have that option switched on in my I know I get two, but they're different.
Yes. And that's my real question is, what's different about them?
Well, the one I save locally, when I say save chat, has my private messages in them. My private messages.
Mm-hmm.
And the cloud one doesn't.
So I just did a fresh save. The timestamp, it keeps, if I manually save multiple times during the same meeting, it simply updates the existing saved file. It doesn't create multiple files. The next to last chat entry is a text file from David Brady, but there's no entry here. The last entry I have is from just download and post the Zoom recording afterwards. And then the next one above Chris is Dan Huber, as if David didn't put anything in the chat because it was a file attachment, not text that he. And so, yeah, it doesn't save any binary information for sure. It does multiple manual saves, overwrites the existing local file. And then I'd have to go put to the test the cloud side. If all I told the cloud to do was save my chats and no videos, will it do it? I mean, anytime I close a meeting, it pops up File Manager and it shows me where it saves the file. But I can't say I go chase down a lot of cloud-based chat files, but pretty comfortable knowing that there should be there. So
whether the Chris's message was a private message, because I can't see it in the
Chris's
chat.
was private, actually. You're right.
Yeah, so we can't see it, so that's
Yeah.
why.
Yeah, good catch. All right, so the chat that's in the cloud, if I click on that, download it, open it from last week. Yeah, I mean, same matter of fact, let's test the format, do like a format comparison to a local save chat. So the local save chat. Now, I will say this is interesting. So this is worth chat, save chat. And this is a locally saved chat. And that format is dramatically different. See the formatting?
I think it has the same words and just indentations are different.
Yeah, just I mean it's this the cloud-based it's the from name only with no line break after what they typed, where the local saved is timestamp says from. The other one doesn't say from, but you can assume. I need to know that because when I save, here's that Chris message that Robert was asking about, and I can see, in fact, that was a direct message, and so I need a source and a destination, and they do that locally, but not in the cloud. Interesting. Some things you just don't use enough, but it's there and there to learn. All right. So I've been really busy. I had to turn down a big job today and I didn't like that at all. But anyways, point being is I've found myself having a lot of conversations at different stages. I've had even more because of the freelance work that I do, more conversations with producers that, but they all bring up the same thoughts to me, and that is, if all I could be is a voice in the room during the pre-sales production process, I'd live for it because there's so many and none are intentional. There's so many expectations that the client builds up because of like lack of knowledge, experience, and it's all innocent. But I have run a shows. I mean, run a show. You would not. When some and then there was a conversation out loud in a rehearsal that said, "Well, okay, so you want to handle that with a moderator? You'll provide the moderator. And we'll give you Q&A." And I said, "Can I clarify?" I said, "We'll do Q&A. This is going to be a meeting, as I understand it, right?" And it's just that clarification that that really I just think it's essential. I've run across so many situations here recently where expectations just are misaligned because of two different platforms, right? Zoom meetings and Zoom webinars, and so I thought I'd just I'll first go to Jesse, who has his digital hand up though.
Well, new topic that you're talking about now. So this wasn't really related to that. This was related to the test I was doing earlier with the single login into multiple meetings and sharing to
Gotcha.
breakout rooms. So
Anyway,
anyway,
keep it on cue.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
working basically. So
Cool. So Lois, go ahead.
It sounds as though the Zoom Test Kitchen would be doing a great service if we collectively defined terms and then published that little cheat sheet so that people could know what the heck we're talking about. I'm sure Zoom has all of the information, but Zoom
is well, and Zoom is a bit of a Kleenex term, right? It is a brand, but it's kind of just a common reference now too, and even when it is Zoom products, you say there's a meeting. There's often no clarification whether it's really a Zoom meeting or a Zoom webinar, and there's such a need for distinction, and the primary differentiator is, do you need a collaborative experience or do you need a deliverable experience, a non-collaborative deliverable experience? That's kind of off the gate. That's platform choice, right? Zoom meeting or Zoom webinar. And and sometimes you get those, we talked about this before, but you get our season 1 episode, and so they premiere it. It's the first 30 minutes of the whole thing, but then after that we want to allow everybody, invite everybody to turn their cameras on and have a celebration because we worked so hard building it for the last 6 months, whatever, right? And so the premiere, it's like, well, that's easy, just spotlight the video. No, the executives, somebody in the executive team said, we want to make sure everybody is viewing that premiere full screen. You can't force that in a meeting. You just can't force it. Anybody who's anybody in a Zoom meeting can change the view from speaker view, which will show a spotlight, to gallery view, which won't obviously show a spotlight, right? And they have that flexibility. So if you want to, after a premiere where you kind of meet, some of those requirements, how do you then turn it into a collaborative environment? And so in webinar, let's attack webinar. Let's say we didn't know any different. We chose webinar for the broadcast full screen host control. Host controls the full screen. Host controls the audience view, basically. So we chose that platform. But now the movie's over. How are we as a technical team going to turn this room into, let's say, 60 people, 80 people, 100 people, into a collaborative room? Thoughts, ideas?
Yeah. Promote everyone up to panelists.
Yeah. And you chuckle because it sounds so absurd, and it is absurd.
And it's
bye all everybody. We want to have a quick chat afterwards.
Yep.
What about what about moving them to a meeting? Can you is there a chat? I don't know webinars? Is there a chat function where you can say, now everybody go click on that link and we'll be.
Yeah, but they disappear, Lois. This actually came up in office hours today. You know, the breakout room feature that we've all been promised. Because as what you've just said there, Lois, would be great if you say, and now we're going to disappear off into breakouts or something. It's just like locked. And
webinar is locked. I mean, think about it. No breakout room support. And answer this. Here's the pop quiz: is the waiting room supported in a webinar?
No. You have to go to run in trial mode or whatever it's called, practice mode.
Yeah.
Yes and no.
Yeah.
I got a different experience because you can put someone on hold and he goes into like a waiting room and then you can bring that person back from the panelists.
I remember, now that you've brought that up, I remember seeing that, although admittedly I've never exercised it. But it's but does it list them while they're on hold?
Yeah, I just did this weekend. We had a ministry and the secretary at the ministry's office went and distributed the panelist link. People in the waiting room, it shows you the people on hold and you can bring them back one by one.
Interesting.
So what about the concept of the focus mode in Zoom meetings? If you're talking about one of the main attributes of webinars as being, you can really bring people into focusing on a particular piece of content and not on one another's video, what's the experience in using that focus mode? I mean, I'm always more game to use meetings because it seems like the features and accessibility and all that stuff are a bit more expanded in meetings than webinar. And what you can do is sort of the way that you can have a little bit more flexibility. So,
yeah. So I hate. It's a perfect point when we get to this moment where we're going to say, like, well, how do we do that in from webinar, but how do we do it in meeting? Which is exactly what you just described. How do we kind of mimic a webinar, but inside of a meeting instead? But if we can stay on the webinar, I want to stay within the limitation of the platform, right? Just to really kind of in case of, did we make a mistake? Did we choose the right platform, or do we need both? To Lois's point, pop a link into the chat, which is the new Zoom link to the, next. A lot of production companies will build a web page, and which is kind of much of the mimic of like Zoom events, right? The wrapper around a Zoom event summit and conference is the program, right? The session, all the different sessions and the links to them and so forth. And so it would be an after party link versus the web page that or the lobby of Zoom events, and then they go to the after party, and that takes them into a meeting because it meets the requirements a little bit better as well. But if you were stuck in this one webinar, promoting everybody to a panelist is your choice. And you say, well, if you had 100 people, I could get 4 people to do 25 apiece. That sounds idealistic, and it sounds quite doable until you start trying to do it. And that is that participants list moves and moves and moves and moves, and it makes it about impossible to. You can't divvy up the names necessarily. You can't say you do the top 25, you do the next, you do the next. There's absolutely no way to control, keep track of it. So I don't know.
Well, the same happens. put like the main core people in.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
we're just doing.
The meeting's
faster
over,
to
but you
shift
don't
them.
want to end it. But you
Yeah, so-
you can quickly identify who's really not at their computers, but they're still signed in because they won't leave the meeting. You throw them in the
just
meeting room.
literally throw them into the waiting room. We're like,
Yeah.
Except for we have one that we do, and the president of the meeting, she also always demands co-host, and as we push them in, she pulls them back in again, and we're like, just stop doing it.
No.
It's like stop doing it. So we have to take
Yeah.
co-host off her because it's like, oh no, you just don't know. It's just they are not people joining. We are trying to clear the room.
Yeah, too many co-hosts without kind of a leadership best practices meeting to review